Hello, folks. This is George Almodovar. I hope you find yourself in good health. I want to say that I commend the captain of the Theodore Roosevelt for actually sending out that email. I understand people are going to criticize him. Some people say he wasn't following chains of command. But I want you to think about something. He's a captain, obviously, in the military for many years. What he knows that you don't know, and the military is not telling you. Obviously, you saw all the soldiers applauding him, right? And they were all, they love him. Why? Now, I want you to ask yourself a couple of questions, because I spoke about this a few days ago, and this comes and pops up. If you doubt it, I mentioned about some vivid dreams that I have. I want you to go watch those videos. But hear me out. Ask yourself. Normally, a Navy ships is out in the sea for many months, sometimes even 2 years, right? Where was that ship heading to? When did it depart? I happen to know that allegedly it was going to Guam. Now, if they have infections, right, with a pandemic, why wasn't they called? That captain needed to make that email, and why? Because they wasn't listening to him? Think about it. They were going to go to a major civilian city and what? Spread the virus? All right? Or go there, what, like a Trojan horse? Think about that. Because I want you to understand something else. And I'm going to get to some history, because history does repeat itself. All right? Now, as you know, back in 2018, right here in America, 45 million people were infected with swine influenza. 61,000 people died. We didn't shut the system down or nothing like that. But keep in mind, was it a regular flu or was it something else and it was just discovered yet and they were keeping it quiet? All right? Now, that being stated, let me take you back to 1918. 1918 was a major flu that 50 million people died. 675,000 here in America alone. It was known as what? The Spanish flu, right? Poor Spain took the brunt of it, and I'm sure people will look down at them thinking, oh man, these people gave us a freaking pandemic. Why? Because when it was realized, it was reported by the media, by the newspaper, that allegedly that's where it had started. But in reality was, when after decades of history search and looking back down and putting things together, we found out that it actually started right here in America, in Kansas, okay? It was called in Haskell, and you know that the military base, and I remember what was the name of the military base, on Camp Funston. And we know this because people were dying in a small county, the small area, where if nothing could have happened, it could have easily stopped there. However, because there were soldiers around, okay, they went in a ship called Leviathan. Look it up, Leviathan, where over 2,000 soldiers became ill. I mean, it was horrendous. And they were going on their way. Remember, this is during World War I, right, in 1918. And they were heading towards where? Towards Europe. Now, over 2,000 soldiers were infected. It got so bad from what they wrote that they were blood all over the floor and they even mutiny. Okay? This is how we know this to be a fact. Again and again, also because the doctor prior to those soldiers wrote an article about something that happened and reported it to the World Health Organization in regards to what was going on. Okay? So they came out in the media, came out, in the magazine and all that. So, now, that was not the only ship that was sent out. All right? Because remember, there was 1.5 million soldiers sent out to Europe. Another ship that was sent out that was sick, and they reported it, was our troop carrier Olympic. Okay? 1,947 soldiers were infected, of which 140 died. This is true. Yeah, they went out through Europe, and granted, those soldiers met with other bases and other soldiers, and it spread out through the world. Now, there's more to that. Now, I want you to think about that, and I'm going to get back to that. Keep that in mind. Because if you remember back here in the Indians, okay, in the early settlers, they also went to the Indians as a Trojan horse about peace. They wanted peace, and they wanted to make a peace treaty. And what they did was they brought sheets that had polio, right, and smallpox. And a lot of Indians actually died because of smallpox. Okay? So, millions. And we could say, oh, but maybe they didn't did it intentionally. But we all saw what happened. I mean, they got raped. They got killed. Their cities were burned. Okay? And they was demonized, right? They looked at them as someone less, the Red Indians and all that. And that's not justified for Americans or the early settlers for killing these Indians. Okay? So I want you to keep that in mind. Now, getting back to that, All right, if you understand history, back when it went back in 1913, that's when the centralized bank was created. Okay, a centralized bank known as the Federal Reserve Bank, which wasn't federal, and it was voted in December 23rd, 1913, because most of the Congress was away for Christmas. Now, if you don't know nothing about the centralized bank, this is why the American settlers, all right, in the American Revolution actually fought, right, and won, right, because of King George, who actually got into many wars, including France, in which those wars, they had a centralized bank, and those centralized bank, in order to pay for those expenditures, they kept raising and raising the taxes. Okay, so we heard taxation without representation, and this is why they retaliate, and eventually army created a war. All right, so they knew about centralized bank, and America at that time, even here in 1913, they knew about it, and they wouldn't allow no centralized bank. So that they was deceived, and it was signed while most of the Congress was away. Now, look at the Federal Reserve Bank. It's unconstitutional. They didn't want it for the same reason. Now, that's in 1913. 1918, we already going to war. Now, if you don't understand, the United States basically government borrows against the Federal Reserve Bank, all right? And it's not actually borrowing. It just creates a fake note, all right? And they get credit for it, and they have 12 members in which they're allowed to pull out what you know as currency, cash at the time, all right? And they will fight these wars, so they will benefit. Keep that in mind, because then when it comes back to World War II, all right, we go and World War II and fight, and basically a lot of these millions of people had died, millions of people were sick. So think about the fathers going to war. Nobody was there to man the corporations, the companies, and keep it going. All right, so they depended a lot, because remember, even their crops filled with poison, with artillery, with poison, with weapons, and all that happened. So basically, they needed help. And who made the profits? America did, the United States. Because their kids were small. So they had to wait until they were able to work in factories again to get the economy going again. A lot of men died, right? And this is, think about it. So, and here in America, you remember that even women started working, and, it's just another form of more taxation for these people. Now, if you don't remember back, T.D. Roosevelt in 1933, basically passed a law in which they didn't want no one to have gold. Okay, they want them to turn into gold, and they will give them some credit, and they reduce the price. Right after everyone turned into gold, or a lot of people turned into gold, they raised the price. Some that stood with the gold, all right, bunions, were arrested. Okay, were arrested, prosecuted. Look that up. This is true history. So if you remember, most of the world, when they were going back then, World War I, World War II, they depended on the United States. So what happened was they started grabbing their currency, okay, or their money, being backed by the American dollar, because the dollar was backed by gold. Here comes 1971, all right, and basically they took off the dollar off the gold standard, right? So what happens now is the dollar has no real value. It became fiat currency, but the world's currency depends on that dollar, if you see what I mean, okay? And if you want more information about that, go look at a couple of videos. I explained it very well. I don't want to get too into it. But again, it's back that history repeats itself. So me personally, all these ships and all that, I'm very skeptical. Okay, I love my country, but our country is not being run by what you think by our government. I believe there's a higher people, okay, what we call shadow government, all right, which is these people like the Rothschilds, the Bilderbergers, okay, all these people that are running our nation, the owners of the Federal Reserve Bank, the families, okay. Now, if you doubt that, all right, I want you to think about something, because a lot of people they trust the government, And when I say government, I'm not talking about the local politicians that you vote. Those are just players, all right? And you could keep changing the players, right? But you're not changing the game, all right? And again, it's like the devil, been dividing us into different races, into politicians, right? Democrats and Republicans. Look how much our people are fighting right now. Stay in the spirit of love is all I can say, right? Don't be fooled. The same way in Hitler's time, when they killed the Jews, they killed blacks, Jehovah's Witnesses, artists, painters, and all that. How they did that? They demonized these people, right? And every time you see, when we go into war, we demonize these people. Go back to Operation Northwoods. I live in Northwoods not by chance. I live in Northwoods. Operation Northwoods was, again, back in John F. K. Okay? They try to get him to bomb American, right? Use airplanes to bomb buildings and all that, to create a false flag so we could go to war with Cuba, because Cuba, again, doesn't have a centralized bank. Neither does Iran, okay? Neither does it's funny because, and I shouldn't say it's funny, all these countries that we are fighting with is because they don't have a centralized bank, and we want a one world government. Well, they do, not I. So that's why Venezuela is next. You're gonna see Iran. Iran is more powerful than people think, and they've been blessed by God because they defended the Jews back. If you look at the study of the scriptures. Now, what I'm saying is, be careful, guys. Don't believe the hype. Question things. All right. You saw the newspapers right in New York. CBS got caught. I saw that. Many of us saw it. We were complaining about the photos that it looked like, wait a minute, from Italy and New York, but they look the same. And then obviously they went and admitted it. They said it was a mistake. The medias are owned by these same corporations, these same families, believe it or not. Okay? You can research this. So they create sensationalism. They be fooling the world. Again, John F. K. tried to stop the centralized bank and also the CIA, and look what happened. Then, look forward. Prescott Bush, again, was backing up what? Hitler, right, in the Nazi regime. And it wasn't just him. It was many other people that also backed him up here in America, in New York, all right? And they know because they pressed charges against them. You can look this up, all right, as dealing with the enemy under the Enemy Act. So happens, that was Prescott Bush, Senator Prescott Bush, George Bush grandfather, okay? Now, what happens with George Bush? What happened with George Bush? 9/11. John F. K. didn't want to go to war with Cuba. He even fired some generals. This is within our own government. Look it up. Operation Northwoods. Wake up, people. Then 9/11, the same thing they wanted to do then, they did it in 9/11. And you still think it's Muslim with box cutters? Then we demonize Muslim. We go and invade Iraq. Millions of people died. They tell you it was thousands. They try to lie. Think about all the bombs and weapons going on. Millions of people died. They steal their gold and all that. And come on, guys. Wake up. Okay? This is all for the New World Order. All right? And again, I'm not saying don't be careful. You have to be careful. You got to take precautionary measure because just like in the Spanish flu, it was real. People did die. But this is more that was going on. And if you doubt it, think about why are all these over 1,000 CEOs, before you even know anything about the coronavirus, step down. Wharton, here from Walmart, what's his name? Wharton. He went and selling his own stocks. Selling their stocks. It's more than what you believe, man. And there's always been a plan of knocking middle businesses and small businesses, depopulating the world. You may doubt that, but look, man, I heard it myself. You could research it. Bill Gates said himself, we need to depopulate the earth, all right? His word, we need to reduce. We got 6 million something. We're going to have 9 million something by 2006, whatever he said, 2025. But if we do a good job with vaccines and all that, we could reduce the population. He said it himself, 10 to 15%. I have the video. I have the clips. Go follow it. Look at it. There's more that was going on, guys, all right? And I hope I'm wrong, but I've been right all this time. Every time I'm right. I wish you guys all the best. The only thing I can tell you is don't get in that spirit of fear. That's what the devil wants. Or in that spirit of fighting and blaming the Chinese or blaming no, guys. Think about everybody is a part of Jesus if you're a Christian, okay? And if you believe in God, everybody's a part of God. We are all connected through our souls. We are connected. So stay in the spirit of love. Don't let the devil fool you like they did back in World War II. Don't let them use you. Don't let them anger you. They'll anger you too, and they'll make you feel scared so you can give up your rights. Okay? Stay in the spirit of love. Remember that. If I did anything today, remember, stay in the spirit of love. God is love. Stay in the fruits of the spirit. If you vibrate in the spirit of love, you're gonna vibrate high. You bring heaven upon earth. If you vibrate low because of fear and anger, you bring hell upon us. Keep that in mind. What you believe, you create through your subconscious mind. So stay in the spirit of love. Unite yourself. Let's unite each other. Please, stop with the hate. Stop with he's Republican, he's Democrat, he's conservative, he's liberal. They have divided us into races and ethnics and groups and politicians, political parties and all that. Don't you see? So you lose track of what's really going on. And that's the rulers who are ruling you, who don't care nothing about you. You think they care about you? They bomb other countries and without having a fair trial, you think they give a damn about you? Because you're an American? Are you different? They will kill you. They want power and money. Those people are evil. All right? They're evil, and we all been programmed. So it's hard for us to accept that. All right? But we got to wake up out of that programming. All right? Please like, comment, and share. I want to hear your opinions. Thank you, and God bless.